This is going to be Zul'Farrak on a Restoration Druid. So after grumping about how I don't understand how to play Restoration for a while, Brewmaster Tank, Mage, some kind of Rogue, and Shaman. After grumping about how I didn't know how to play Restoration, I decided to give it another try after I'd leveled up a bit, and this run went fine. It's actually pretty cool. I've taken the Feral Affinity talent, which gives me a bunch of abilities in cat form, so I can just sort of switch modes between healing and doing damage, and it's pretty cool. Surprisingly, what I needed for the Druid to feel good was another activity to do other than just healing, I guess. Because, like, using, you know, Sunfire, Moonfire, or Solar Wrath, and nothing else for damage just didn't feel great. Alright, so I have at least one new tool. Number 5 is Wild Growth. So it heals everybody in the party at once, over a couple of seconds, starts fast and ramps down in effectiveness. So like I get a little burst of healing and then a little bit less for a little while. Oh yeah, this is one of those dungeons where you can mount, which means I can go into travel form, so I can just instantly be faster. Anyway, yeah, so in cat form, I'm basically a budget assassination rogue. The buttons are almost the same, so I have, oh boy, what is it? Shred, which is equivalent to Sinister Strike. Rake, which is equivalent to Garrot. Rip, which is equivalent to Rupture, and another equivalent of, what's that other one? So it's Bite, which is equivalent to, whatever the direct damage finishing move is called. It turns into Envenom, but before that it's something else. Anyway. Oh, and I have Swipe, which is just like the Guardian Swipe. So yeah, got some good buttons to press as a kitty. So when healing calms down a little bit, healing needs aren't there, I can be a rogue for a moment. Also my number 7 there, I think it's Iron Skin? Something like that. It's like a bark skin that I can apply to another party member, so give them a little bit reduced damage for a while. I think it's more than a little bit, it's 40%? Is that a 40% one, or is it less? I forget. It's pretty cool. I don't think I've used it yet. I might have forgotten I even had the button. Oh right, and clear casting. That's a thing that can happen occasionally. I get a regrowth that costs no mana for a little while. I forget what triggers it, but that leafy aura means if you cast regrowth it won't cost anything. And I'm also just being very conscious about the fact that I have 2 Swift Med charges, so I don't have to save it for a rainy day. You know, just use one of the charges, let it be recharging, save the second if you really need to save it, or don't if you don't. You know. So yeah, better Swift Mend usage, having Wild Growth, having Feral Affinity, all those things just made this class feel way better to play. So just like an Assassination Rogue, I want to get all my bleed effects up in as many targets as I can. They don't help my energy regeneration like it does on Assassination. But I'm frequently popping out of cat form to cast some healing spells, and my cat's energy regenerates while that happens. So, you know, I can get some bleeds up, then run out of energy and go back and actually take care of health bars for a moment, and then switch back and my energy will have regenerated. It's cool. It's fun. It feels good. So other options, you can also take Balance Affinity, so you get access to a bunch of Balanced Druid abilities. So in addition to Moonfire, Sunfire, Solar Wrath, I would have other ranged damage spells I could cast in that case. That would be an easier adaptation from what I was used to, but I wanted to try Feral Affinity. Internet says it's the most effective one, and it sounded the most interesting to me, so yeah, it's cool. I tried it and I liked it. And on that same talent row you can also take Guardian Affinity, which gives you some bear abilities. I'm not sure what that's for. When would you go into bear form as a healer? I'm sure it's good for something. Maybe it just gives like better survivability in general, so if you're gonna be taking party-wide damage, you can take a little less like that. But I'm not sure. That one makes a lot less sense to me than Feral or Balance Affinity. If I pop out while I'm still meleeing, I'll just hit with my staff, which doesn't do much. So this Brewmaster, doing a great job. He knows what he's doing. Not one of these super fragile Brewmasters that you sometimes see. Is taking some active attention, but you know, not very much as Brewmasters go. He's handling everything very well. I'm going to keep an eye on this Frost Mage here, though. A thing is going to happen later between her and me. Not until the very end of the dungeon, but this is one of the reasons that I'm showing this run in particular, other than just that I had a Restoration Druid run that actually felt good. But there is a secondary reason here that involves her. Also from Illidan, perhaps came in with a Brewmaster, perhaps didn't. Illidan's a large server. I see a lot of players from it, so it's very possible it's just coincidence I got two from the same one. Ragnaros, another big server, you see a lot of those. Ravenholt, that one I'm not familiar with. Yeah, it's a small one. My server, whose name I'm not going to say, is apparently listed as a high population one, but I almost never see anyone else from it. Maybe it's like a big alliance server, and I'm playing Horde on it, so it's, from my perspective, it's a low population one? That's possible. I don't know. I just ended up on it for historical reasons, and, I don't know. I don't know how to choose a server in this game. Every realm I've ever chosen in this game has been because I've spoken to a real-life friend who said, oh, hey, I play on this realm. You should make a character there. And I go, okay, and I make a character there. I've played on 3 different ones actively, and they've all been like that. Ridiculously enough, though, this is a server where I play Horde, and the reason I chose it was because of a friend I know who played Alliance. So I made a Horde character on his server. Can't play with him that way, but I don't know, that's just how this happened somehow. Because this was back when there was a limited number of character slots on a specific server. So if I wanted to cover every class on the Horde, I would have to have them on a different server than my Alliance server. So that's how that came about. But now I'm just here because it's where I was. And I don't know how I would choose a different one. And you have to pay to transfer characters to other servers, or, you know, just restart them on a different server from level 1. So it's a whole thing. It is a commitment. We're getting more and more scarabs in this battle because people are using cleaving attacks and just, like, getting their attention. It's fine. This Brewmaster has Fire Breath. Breath of Fire, Fire Breath, whatever it is. That's something I don't have on mine yet. A pretty important part of the toolkit, but for some reason you get it way after Keg Smash, because Keg Smash coats them in flammable liquid and then makes them more susceptible to Fire Breath, which is your other area attack. But you just have to deal with Keg Smash only for quite a few levels. Fire Breath is like level 44? 45? Something like that. Way later than it ought to be. There are a lot of things that I feel like are like that during the leveling process, you know, just these weird gaps in your toolkits. Like, I get it. This is why, you know, I make multiple characters of the same class, because I like to learn one spell at a time and go through every dungeon and understand, for this particular specialization, how you play it. But I don't agree with some of the decisions of when to give certain abilities, and Fire Breath is especially one of those. It should come shortly after Keg Smash, I think. Assassination Rogue also gets some really important tools weirdly late. I got Venomous Wounds at level 50. The run I showed with him didn't have it. That is an incredibly important tool, because right up until I get it, I'm always energy starved, but it gives me 7 energy every time my Garrote or Rupture deals periodic damage, which basically solves my energy problems. Like, I can run out of energy now, and I still have a few very short dead spaces where I don't have any, but it happens way less. It's a very important ability. But I have to wait till level 50 to get it. As a Guardian Druid, I don't get a hard interrupt until level 70. Why so late? Every other tank gets it way earlier. Brewmaster gets it at 35, which I already feel is too late. But you have to wait twice as long on a Druid. And I think that's silly. I have a stun, sure, but that's not the same thing. Not everything that can be interrupted can be stunned. Oh boy, a lot of scarabs are coming our way. Somebody got some attention. They're not that bad. They go down pretty quick, but they're going to contribute a bunch of damage. Hey, check it out, an Earth Elemental. That probably means I won't have to heal much during this fight, so I can stay a cat for most of it, I suspect. Okay, so the Brewmaster is in a guild. The Frost Mage is not. Making it more likely that they just happened to come in from the same server but are not together. Who's clicking on all these graves? You gotta, like, actually go out of your way to pull the zombies out of them. I think? I don't think that happens automatically. Like, you get a little gear cursor, and you click on the grave, and then the Zul'Farrak zombie comes out. Oh, somebody left. Okay, so we lost the, what was it? Something. We get a Zandalari Troll, who is... that looks like a Paladin, I'm gonna guess. Looks like Paladin armor to me. Mana bar. Yep, Paladin. Okay, cool. Oh hey, that life bloom took care of the life deficit on its own. That's nice. So check this out. Does it happen here? It doesn't happen here. So in this travel form, When I'm a moose, other players can ride me like I'm a mount. That totally happens in here, so watch for somebody on my back. I kind of knew it was a thing, but it also caught me off guard here, and it's pretty funny. You can ride the druid. My tank is a frog. I should have been doing something about that. I was a little late on it. It's fine. But yeah, polymorph is one... hold on, polymorph, wouldn't that be hex? So hex is one that you really want to keep on top of. I think they call it polymorph, but like hex is the shaman version of polymorph that turns you into a frog instead of a sheep. Let's watch for cast bars. See if I can catch them calling it one or the other. I think it's the witch doctors that do that. That makes sense. Oh man, it happened again after I had just dispelled it. How annoying. I can't dispel a second time. So apparently this is the reason that Restoration Druids are so desired at endgame, just because in cat form they can do ridiculous amounts of damage, which is real good for the timed dungeon mode. You can bring, you know, a 4th damage dealer, essentially, who also does the little bit of healing that's necessary to get through the dungeon. It's not because they're really great healers, but maybe that's it too. Maybe they become super great healers at level... Oh yeah, so somebody's on my back right now. Check it out. Paladin's riding me. It's just so funny when it happens. You couldn't do that before when travel form used to be a cheetah. But now that it's an ungulate, more appropriate riding animal, you can do it. It's only High Mountain Tauren that get the moose, because we have the moose horns. Others get a different kind of deer thing. Is this Brewmaster going to stay alive? I can only do so much. Casting Vivify, that's kind of a mistake, but he got away with it. Because like the amount of health you'll gain from your tiny little heal on yourself is probably going to be lost by lost parries and blocks and, you know, all the things that are disabled by hard casting a spell. So usually just not a good idea to do that. Alright, Necrom got sure, and Shadow Priest says has decided to show up. Gotta wait through a few waves of trolls spawning here. I think what you're supposed to do during this event is stay at the top of the stairway and kill the small groups of trolls as they come up to you. That's how we used to do it back in Classic, but nowadays it's easier just to run to the bottom of the stairway right where they spawn and kill them all at once. Like, pretty much every group composition can handle that if you're ready for it. Couldn't get away with it back in the day, probably, but that's how it's done now. Yikes. Polymorphed, and my health's kind of low, but fortunately nobody's targeting me now. More important to keep him alive, so he gets my Swift Mend. And all the other stuff. How did my health refill itself? Did I cast something on myself? I didn't see clearly, but somehow my health bar ended up full again. It's also possible one of the other party members did something to me. I don't see Forbearance, so I didn't get laid on hands. By the Paladin. I don't know. Somehow my health bar refilled itself. Alright, so Weegly Blast Fuse. He needs to blow up a door so we can access the final boss. I had one super weird run here with my Hunter, where somebody talked to Weegly, and He died on the way to that door and never blew it up, so we couldn't complete the dungeon. There's an actual failure condition in here, because we hadn't gotten rid of all the trolls on the way. You can fight Sergeant Bly here. I don't know why you would. I don't think he even drops anything, but you can just talk to him and he decides to fight you. This person was trying to type in guild chat or whisper or something, but accidentally typed in party chat. Sharing parts of her life with us. I'm not really sure who these people are, or like why you come in here and rescue them, and then, well, I know why you rescue them, because you need weekly blast fuse to blow up the door. Probably getting off after this dungeon. Good. Well, let me tell you, online college courses suck. Good. I don't understand what this brewmaster is saying here, but okay. I forgot about this banter. What is this? Strange things are happening. So we're going right in here instead of going for Gazrilla. Perfectly valid route. Does run the risk of people leaving just because they see, oh, dungeon's complete, I can leave now. Especially if they've already done the quests and don't want to do the optional dudes afterward. So I usually route it differently so that we do... oh, what's her name? Ex-priest something or other, and Gazrilla. Before these two, and just have the final bosses be the final bosses. Huh, not generating any threat on Ruzlu. That's weird. Just focusing entirely on Chief of Course Sandscalp. I hit Ruzlu a couple of times. Where's all your keg smashes? Where's all your fire breaths? Where's your taunt? Okay, there we go, finally. No, Ruzlu's still on me! He's just completely ignoring Ruzlu. And single targeting the one dude. Okay, finally. Alright. Got some tunnel vision there. Where'd that Sand Fury Witch Doctor come from? I was not involved in the fight before, but it came from somewhere. Okay, huh. Oh right, it gave me Soothe, right. That can dispel enrages. So that's nice. Trying to remember, right, yeah, so we still have Gazrilla and... What is her name? I guess we'll find out momentarily. Alright, so this messy spot over here. Yeah, okay, so I have a rider again. It's the other Tauren this time. This is so great. I love it. Alright, passenger's gonna have to get off here because I need to be a kitty. So yeah, this room often tends to turn into a big mess, and it's going to do it this time. And one of my party members is going to have some very strange things to say about this. So let's just watch the situation carefully. Hydromancer Velratha, that's her name. Not a hex priest at all. So yeah, it often tends to be that you get Velratha at the same time as Gazrilla, at the same time as a lot of these trolls who are just walking around. Okay, that one's polymorphed, that's nice. So she'll stay out of combat until she gets unpolymorphed somehow. So we got a blood drinker here. Health bar is looking totally fine. Oh hey, I just heard the noise of corrections here picking up a healing sphere, so that is audible to other party members. That's interesting. Alright, so we didn't kill a whole lot of the trolls around here before engaging the Hydra. So at the very least this Sand Fury Witch Doctor is going to get involved. A trick that I learned since doing this run, since Gazrilla will knock you way up into the sky and you'll take a bunch of fall damage, if you stay in the water, then the fall damage doesn't really happen. So yeah, I know I'm about to take some fall damage. So did the Retribution Paladin. Okay, so we got those healed up. Wild Growth, sure. Staying on top of healing here. Spending every action that I have, well trying to, because you're out of range. Spending every action I have, and making sure everybody stays alive as necessary. And the free ones on attacking in cat form. So yeah, situation I'm reading here. More and more trolls are coming in. This is getting dicey. I'm going to have to really get my healing output up. And now I start getting polymorphed. So on the screen it calls it polymorphed. Get polymorphed again. It's a little hard to save this mage, who's taken a lot of damage. Brewmaster's more important, so Swiftmend goes to him. You get a regrowth, sure. You get everything I have to make sure you stay alive. Or rejuvenation, whatever it's called. I don't want to die from this fall, so I need to take care of myself here. Everybody's staying alive. I'm getting stunned now. So yeah, this is a big mess. I had another Swiftmend. So look at what this mage decides to say here. Like, she does not have a good read on the situation and decides to blame me for her health bar staying a bit low for a moment. It's so weird. So I talked about this in my little intro video on, what I was going to be doing with this series. This is kind of the reason I run so many random dungeons. Because of people just deciding to act unpleasant like this for no good reason. I still have a reaction that I don't like to things like this. I trusted my read on the situation. I knew I was doing everything I needed to keep people alive. I'm kind of at the limit of my healing output here. I am playing correctly. I'll give her a little bit of information on why heals might not have been landing for a moment. Kind of a subtle suggestion. Maybe you could counterspell the Hex or Polymorph when it goes out. But yeah, so something I don't like about myself is I still have this automatic reaction to people saying things like this about me that I know I should not have. I can tell myself intellectually, her read on the situation was not good, I trust my own, it's fine, but I still feel, this unpleasant feeling when this happens. So, this is kind of almost like exposure therapy for me. Give people the chance to say mean words to me if they're going to be in a situation where they do that, so that I can train that automatic reaction out of myself. I don't want to feel the way that I feel when, negative attention is turned on me. I know I shouldn't, I know I don't need to, but it's involuntary. So just by letting that sort of stuff happen, maybe I can not experience it so much. Okay, right, so I already did this as a bear. I'd already done the quests, so we were done the dungeon. Anyway, yeah, so heal me, you dumb cow. That's what's said to me. Maybe she doesn't like Tauren players or something. Alright, well, that was totally fine. Restoration Druid's cool, and yeah, anyway, I had that experience. I'll see you next time.